My journey began 12 years ago. One might say I was a slow learner. And coming from New York, there's that skepticism that we have. And I started watching everyone, and they would, one by one, they would come over to me and they would pray for me. They would put books into my car. As I sat in my patrol car, they would hand me something and read it. That's when I started to have questions. And the people from this community and this church were kind enough to answer my questions. They encouraged me. Actually, they said I was preparing them every time I came to keep them on their toes. 4 years ago, I was standing outside on a shift, and they were having outside baptisms. Now, for those of you that know Brother Herb, I had promised Brother Herb that I would get baptized, and he wanted to nail down a date for me. And I said, I'll do it, I just have to change my schedule. And lo and behold, there was the baptisms they were doing outside for the first time. So I was nervous about doing baptism inside the church where so many would see me far away, and now I'm watching everybody outside, and there was hundreds of people gathered around, and I had to work in the street, and I was watching it, and people were cheering and screaming, and I'm watching, and I got back into my patrol car where I was able to live stream some of the service that day, which was about baptism. And slowly all the pieces started to come together for me. And I got out of my car. It was towards the end of my shift that day, and I'll never forget, because a friend of mine pulled up with her van full of children as she was ready to exit the church, and she said, "Hey Mikey, why don't you get baptized?" I have to say thank you, Mel, for doing that. I had to stand there for a second, and a little voice inside my head, which I thought was my own, told me that I needed to do this. I later realized the voice was not my own. I realized that at that moment, Jesus wanted my heart. You see, part of my job is, in a daily life, we have to show proof of everything. So how can I sit there and say that I accept Jesus in my heart and not show him? So I had to get baptized. It was the only way. I had to let my faith be bigger than my fear in that moment, and I realized I needed to do this. As I sit here and I reflect back on my life, I am in awe, and I am overwhelmed with the way I feel. I am overwhelmed that God picked me, that I sit there and I think he picked me, broken, ordinary me. And it doesn't get much better than that.